Welcome to the Stories of Starting podcast. I'm Heather Boyd. As a self-employed artist for the last 30 years, I'm fascinated with people's passions and creative projects. In this series, we discover how people like you have started new projects by thinking outside the box, going with the flow, and tapping into their childhood imagination.
So hey everybody, today I'm here with my friend Peter Hartman at his beautiful studio, and I'm going to start by getting Peter to introduce himself.
My name is Peter Hartman. I also go by Hey You, if you can't remember my name. I'm a motivational speaker, a comedian, and the founder of Happy for a Change.
That's so awesome. And I always start the podcast, Peter, by backtracking a little bit to tell people how we met. So I don't even remember what year it was, but you might remember because it was a long time ago. You were giving motivational talks on the West Island. There were little small groups that would get together in people's houses.
No way.
Yes, for law of attraction.
That was a long time ago.
Oh my God, yeah. My friend Allison had introduced me to this group. And do you remember what year that would have been?
Oh, I have a terrible memory. I can't even remember my twin brother's birthday. So
oh, well, there you go. Anyways, it was a long time ago.
Yeah, quite a while.
So this was before Happy for a Change was established. So can you just start by telling us a little bit about your experiences with that, with the speaking in the small groups about the law of attraction?
Well, first I started doing the law of attraction because I came across this website. In the web world, we call it a squeeze page.
Okay.
And it's just a singular page, and it's the whole point is just to sell you something, right? It's like, Are you depressed? Are you feeling miserable? Here are the 100 laws of attraction that you need. And I just got so upset. You know, I just really bothered. I don't like when people get fleeced. I don't like when people are being conned or anything like that. So I decided, you know what? Instead of being upset and bothered all the time, let me just be a part of the solution. Let me be somebody out there who's actually providing good information that can really help people. So then I thought, well, how the heck do I do that? And I came across meetup.com. Yes. If you don't know about meetup.com, definitely go and check it out. Someone like me who was just an extreme introvert and social anxiety, this lowered the barrier to meeting people. So it's fantastic.
Amazing, yeah.
Really great. So I started a group there, and then I would meet people, and then somebody said, "Hey, this is great. I have a group in the West Island. Would you come and speak at it?" And I did that a few times, and it was fantastic. I cannot believe that's where we met.
Yeah, you didn't remember that? No, because I remember my friend Allison spoke highly of you because she'd seen you speak at one of the events before. She was going regularly, so I went in. And I don't remember what the subject was, but there were a lot of people, and it was super interesting. And I mean, I've always had an interest in law of attraction and the secret thing and all that, and so I was very open to the subject. And yeah, I mean, I just saw you there as this philosopher giving all this like interesting insight and advice, and then I think. A few years later, I started coming to some of your events downtown.
That's right.
And then Samantha Barley had a lot of meetup events as well. And so then you had me on one of your panels in one of your events.
That's right. That was really, I did a year where I challenged myself to do an event every month.
Okay, cool.
So I did 12 events that year, and to be creative and find different formulations for the same idea. And it was really a lot of fun. And then having you on stage, that was a blast.
That was awesome. That was it was an entrepreneurial panel.
That's right.
And I remember there was myself and then the comedian Kirsten Finch, and also Tulu, right?
Yes, Tulu
who
Lope.
has sadly passed away since then. But I remember being super impressed by his whole philosophy.
Absolutely.
He had a cleaning business, and he had a whole philosophy behind cleaning. Is very interesting. And then of course Kristen, who we've seen at the Comedy Nest
so funny
since. But that was under the Happy for a Change umbrella, or that was before you started that?
That was before Happy for a Change.
Okay, yes.
That was before Happy for a Change. I started Happy for a Change because, well, with the law of attraction and personal development is about cleaning up your own life and getting your life in order.
Yes.
But I found that as I was speaking with people, one of the complications with people dealing with their own lives was the world around them.
Yes.
You know, it's like, oh, I want to keep my house clean, I want to clean my house, and then I leave my house and it's a junkyard outside, and then I'm tracking dirt back into my house. So we have to start cleaning the outside world as well.
Yes.
You know? There's this relationship between the inner experience and the outer experience. And so I started Happy for a Change because I wanted to apply those same principles of improving your life to improving the world. And to give people purpose, right? That's the thing I felt like people were missing. There's a search for happiness. And I feel like people thought that happiness was this end goal. But happiness is not an end goal. It's an aspect of life that motivates you towards the goals that you want to do, towards purpose and duty. So I thought, what if I encourage people to start making the world a better place? And it seems like a daunting proposition, but it's satisfying to get engaged with your community, to get engaged with the world around you. And it contextualizes your experience so that it makes it so much easier for you. Oh, I can now work on myself because I'm doing this other hard thing, which is trying to make the world a better place, caring about the environment, caring about the food we eat, caring about the air we breathe. And so
that's right.
That's why I started Happy for Change. It was like an evolution of the law of attraction.
Exactly. And so you're still doing meetups, and we were at one of your meetups last week in this beautiful space. And of course, meetup is an amazing place to gather people and with like-minded ideas and what have you. And so, definitely, I will link up all your places that people can get involved and what have you. And then with regards to the, sharing bright ideas, you've talked about, you have a YouTube channel. And you have a couple of things going on. Currently, you have, what is it, Bad Guru Nightly?
Bad Guru Nightly. It's my nightly show, my podcast. Bad Guru Nightly. It happens every single night.
Amazing. Right? That's pretty dedicated.
That's exactly what I wanted to show, my dedication. I want people to go, who's this crazy guy online every single night? Doesn't he have weekends? No weekends.
Not always the same time. You're a little bit flexible. But
well, one of my barriers to starting was, I had a show before called The Appreciationist.
I was trying to think of the name of it because I'll mention that after as well, because I remember hopping on that a couple of times.
That's right, exactly. And it was a lot of fun. That was for the Law of Attraction. It was every Wednesday. And having to orchestrate my schedule around the specific time, I found it was difficult. And I kept putting off Bad Guru Nightly because I didn't want to do that. So I said, well, could I just do it at any time? And, for some people it doesn't jive well, but for other people it's like, okay, well, I can watch now because it's on at noon, and I can watch now because and then when people are watching at 11:30 p.m., you're like, oh, I would have never guessed that people would be watching the show at this time. So I've learned that there are all kinds of barriers to start, all kinds of excuses we give ourselves, and we're looking for perfection, we're looking for the right way, this is the way it's supposed to be. And I just questioned myself. I said, well, does it have to be at a specific time? And if it's not at a specific time, it causes people to need to subscribe to you to get that notification, because if I want to watch the show, so I thought there would be pros and cons, and one of the pros would be people would follow me.
Well, that's it. And I mean, who in their life has every day at a certain time free anyways? And I mean, the beauty of these live streams is they're evergreen content. Like you can watch the replay, which is, I find what people do on my channel is they just watch the replay.
Yeah, most people watch the replay. We're living in an asynchronous time, You send someone a text message and they don't necessarily have to answer right away. And you can have conversations out of sync. And, it's like I don't have cable. Because the idea of having to be at my house at 7 p.m. to watch the show that I want to watch and then watch commercials is kind of nuts. But Netflix makes it so that, I can watch it anytime I want. YouTube makes it so I can watch it anytime I want.
Exactly.
And so I like it, and it hasn't been a problem.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yes, and I remember when you did The Appreciationist, because that was another situation where I had something, yoga or something Wednesday nights, and I could never hop on, and I kept saying to you, I'm going to hop on. And then one night I did, and it was so much fun. And that was, I think it was on Google Hangouts, was it?
That's right.
I mean, that's pretty old school now. I don't know what is the platform for those. It's not called Google Hangouts anymore, is it?
I don't even know if it still exists. I mean, I think it does still exist.
It just sounds so old. But then there weren't a lot of people that would hop on, but you had your regulars on there, and the topic was always super interesting and great for other people to have that opportunity to to hop on, like so many people think it's so daunting or just unattainable to be able to put themselves out there, to give other people a platform where they can share their voice in a non-threatening way, because there was never too many people watching. So that was interesting.
I love giving people an opportunity to sort of express themselves and get engaged. That's really what people often are looking for, to be seen. We evolved as human beings in tribes of 100 to 150 people, and you mattered in a tribe of 150 people. Every single person mattered. You knew who was around, that you knew what status you had. It didn't matter what you did in the tribe, because you were significant, and when you were gone, it really mattered. And then we're living now in a period where what do we have, a couple of million people here in Montreal. It's so easy to feel like you're just invisible. And so to have a moment, even if it's just a small moment on a web show, I thought was powerful. So I liked Google Hangouts precisely because it allowed other people to get on, like more than a couple of people to get on at the same time. And I thought it was powerful.
It's so true. I'm giggling because Mimi always teases me, because the tagline at the end of my podcast is for Stories of Starting is at the very end I say, because your story matters. And every time she hears it, she giggles because it's so cheesy. But it's true. Like, everybody's voice matters. Everybody's story matters.
It does matter. Part of my philosophy with Happy for a Change is this. It's this expounding upon this idea that every individual has value. And it's so easy to think, oh, I'm 1 in 7 billion people. But the truth is, every action that you take in this world, whether you see it or not, causes a ripple effect. And it influences the world. And we can see it now even more when it comes to data. Right? You're on. Why is Facebook free? Why is Instagram free? Why are these tools free? Well, they're not free. You're giving your data, and that's valuable to them. And so every single person's data point, everything that you like, share, watch, tweet, every word that you express, everything that you do adds to the new digital dimension of humankind. So on that level, it's very obvious to see how every single person matters. Like Facebook isn't like, oh, we have 2 billion people, that's enough. We don't need to. They want every single person who's on that thing. And then also in the regular world, when you smile at a stranger or someone on the street, everyone who sees that is statistically more likely to smile at someone else that day. If you help somebody pick up their bags, they drop them on the ground, everyone else who sees that is statistically more likely to help someone else that day. You create these ripple effects, but you feel like unworthy, you feel like you don't matter, and the opposite is true. Being 1 in 7 billion doesn't make you less valuable, makes you more valuable. You have more reach now than the Emperor of Rome, Julius Caesar did.
God, that's incredible.
More of an impact. You showed me a video you just uploaded on TikTok. 700 plus views. You're like, how do I get 700 views?
It's so random.
And so we're powerful, we're valuable, and I really want people to recognize that value, because I think part of what gets society all topsy-turvy is that people, because they don't recognize their value, they don't move in the direction of what they care about. They don't engage in that. And then when we have a million of people who are not living according to their own purpose, it creates a system that is kind of like weird, and you're sitting in your cubicle going, something is wrong with life, but I don't know what it is. It's because there's a billion people not living their life.
Well, that's it. And the whole idea of, the power of the internet and the power of the reach. We used to talk about when I was younger, the 7 degrees of separation. Well, it doesn't exist anymore. You're really just 1 degree away from anyone else on this planet.
That's right.
And I know I have a Facebook group for jewelry makers, and the people are all over the world. It's incredible, and then it's the same idea where people can share their work and get acknowledged for what they're doing and what have you. So certainly with Facebook and other platforms like that, it's such an amazing way just to reach. You could reach your gurus, you could reach your idols at the drop of a coin. Like, it's really amazing.
It's fantastic, and it makes me feel a little bit like we're back in that tribe, like you can see the people. People complain, oh, they're taking pictures of their food on Instagram. Well, it used to be you knew the food that your friends were eating. You knew what was going on. It made it more intimate. So I don't poo-poo people who are doing that. I like browsing my Facebook and just getting a feel for what my friends, my community are connected to. It makes it feel more intimate. It makes me feel closer to other people.
Well, yeah, I remember having this discussion with somebody as well about the whole idea of taking pictures of your food, because I mean I do it for several reasons. One is because I appreciate the food and I want to remember what I ate a couple days later, but also to give people ideas of where they can go out, because so many people are stuck in their own world and they want to go out, they want to do things, but they don't know where to start. So for me, by sharing events, by sharing restaurants, we go out to comedy, sharing, pictures of where we've been, it makes it more accessible for other people to do that as well. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I was watching a podcast you did recently, maybe the last one, with your friend, the forager.
Sharon,
Sharon.
my oldest and dearest friend, yes.
And I was like, I had to copy her name and search for her.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I want to know more about her. Foraging,
so interesting.
The things that she's doing. And so I see something like that, and now I'm able to connect more with somebody that I might never even have.
Well, that's it, and learning about something that exists. Because I remember her telling me that she would go around the neighborhood and pick all this food and freeze it and make pesto with like these weeds and stuff, and I'm like, wow, that's kind of cool, But and then you see there's whole communities of people doing the same thing, which is super interesting.
That's right.
That's it. So to connect on a subject I just mentioned about comedy, so Peter, I was so delighted when I found out that you did stand-up comedy, and it was ironic because when I did the panel, the entrepreneurial panel at that event, I remember at one point you'd made a joke. It was a joke about the sound of the air conditioner or something. And at that time I was writing, I had just started writing the comic, so I wrote a comic about you being the stand-up comic or something like that. I'll put a picture of it below. But then when I found out you were actually doing stand-up comedy, I was thrilled. So I haven't seen you perform in a while, but tell us a little bit about your venture into comedy.
I started doing stand-up Look, I grew up watching stand-up comedy, being obsessed, George Carlin, the 7 things that you can't see on TV.
We had it on a record.
You had it on a record?
Did you?
What were those 7 words?
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, they're probably pretty tame now.
That's right. But George Carlin, Jerry Seinfeld, Eddie Murphy, I just really loved. I never, ever had an inkling to do stand-up comedy. Okay. It never even occurred to me that I could do stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
And then one day, I think we were turning 30, and my twin brother was like, "It's my dream to do stand-up comedy." Wow. And I was like, "What? Yeah. I'm your twin brother. I'm finding out at age 30 that your dream is to be a stand-up comedian. I had no clue." Yeah. And I should have known, because my brother, he used to make me laugh like crazy when we were kids. I say my brother, he's like 95% great guy, 5%. Well, I use a different word, but 5% not a great guy, because he would make me laugh, right?
Yeah.
But he'd make me laugh until my gut was busting and was hurting. I'd be on the ground crying, begging him to stop, and he wouldn't. He would just keep making me laugh maliciously, okay? Maliciously, just kept going and going well past anything that was like good-hearted or anything like that.
Death by comedy.
He used this humor to attack. Yes, death by comedy. So when he told me he wanted to be a comedian, I was like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I didn't want him to sort of like give up.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'll do it with him. Cool. Make it easier for him to do, make it more fun, and for him to see somebody who looks like him living his dream, like he won't be able to stand it. So that's why I got into stand-up comedy, to support my brother. It was terrifying.
That's hilarious.
Absolutely terrifying. But I also thought it would make me a funnier motivational speaker, which is what I wanted. And it has helped. Like, you do these, I'm not trying to be a world famous comedian or anything like that, but you try different things, and it helps you in other avenues, in other ways that you have no idea about. Try something new, learn a new skill, go into a new area. You don't have to be the best in the world at it, but it trains all the various muscles that you need for creativity, for ingenuity, for entrepreneurship.
Yes.
It was super fantastic. So I got into comedy. 1, I love comedy, and 2, it would be fun to do with my brother, would help him, and then also would help me for my work.
That's amazing, and certainly, like you said, to become a better motivational speaker, and I think people will assimilate the ideas more if they're sort of put at ease and put into a happier state when they're listening to the words. It's going to sink in more, definitely.
Yeah, a lesson learned with laughter is a lesson remembered.
Absolutely.
And when you think of really good speakers, they have a humor to the way that they speak. It
Yes.
really drives the point home. And I actually believe that humor, I did a video about this, but humor is the God perspective. It's the all perspective. That if you could actually see the world for what it really is, it would
Right.
actually give you a belly laugh, you know?
Right.
By actually looking at everything.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you see watching someone slip on a banana peel, and you're like, well, why is that funny? Well,
Yeah.
it's making light of something that's serious, and
Yes.
it puts it all into its proper context, and it makes things good.
Yeah.
And if you can explain an idea with humor, then it kind of sticks in your mind in a way that just dry information might not.
Definitely. And one of my favorite expressions, who actually, it was my friend Sharon, the forager, that used to say to me all the time, she used to say, laugh at yourself, everybody else does. And I think that's become sort of my mantra, because I think it helps when you don't take yourself too seriously too, and that you're able to laugh at yourself, and
right.
I think it's really important. Definitely.
Laughter got me through the darkest periods of my life, and it's when I heard comedians tell terrible stories, but they were laughing at it. I recognized their ability to transform and integrate their experience in such a
Yes.
way where they weren't trying to avoid it,
Yes.
but they were shining a light on it that made it of value not only to them but to the people who were listening to
Absolutely.
it. So it made it a lot easier for me to deal with the things that happened in my life, but learning how to laugh at those things.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. And so another thing that you did not too long ago was your TEDx talk.
Yeah.
So tell us about that, and I will link it up below as well.
That was an experience. That I don't even know where to start with that. It was. So I deal with social anxiety, just severe social anxiety, and Samantha Barley, self-discovery life coach extraordinaire, she encouraged me to apply. And when she told me to apply, I was like, first of all, who's going to care about what I have to say? I'm definitely not going to get accepted. This is not going to work. Okay. Do it. So I did it. And part of what I had to do is you have to do an application, but then you also have to do a video, a short 2-minute video, because they wanted to see how personable you were, how you spoke.
Right.
It took me 30 tries to get a 2-minute video. I still have them. I'm sweating by the end of it, just absolutely nervous. So we go through the process. Now, long story short, we get to the rehearsals.
Okay.
I go on stage for the rehearsal. I walk into I didn't realize we were going to rehearse in an actual theater, like an actual auditorium.
Yeah.
So I walk into the auditorium. It's 200 plus seats, maybe more, all empty, because it's just a rehearsal.
Yeah,
Our coaches were there, and they were judging us. That's what they were doing.
Okay.
And so I get up on stage. I'll tell you, as a comedian, empty seats, empty chairs. Like when comedians say, "Hey, sit in the front row," it matters. Because those empty seats, it creates this weird sort of dynamic. And to stare at those seats, the cameras were on, rehearsing. I did the worst by far.
Oh no!
Horrible. I mean, to the point where everyone was like,
"Wow, interesting."
They were looking at me, going, "Oh, this guy." he's oh man, okay, what's gonna happen here? So that was a disaster. My confidence totally shot.
Oh no.
And then I realized, you know what? I'm taking this too seriously.
Yeah.
So I totally rewrote my whole thing. Right after months, like I think it was 5 months of working on my talk, I threw it out.
Oh wow.
I get onto the stage the night of TEDx. I get up on stage and I basically do stand-up.
Right.
I kind of mix in the same way that I would do stand-up. This is how I did my talk, and I mixed in. My stand-up is not like silly. That's something that I need to work on. I talk about serious things, very dark things. That's my style. Yeah. And so I was talking about something meaningful here, and then I mixed in some humor, and it went fantastic.
Amazing.
It went great. I got off stage, and people were like, "What the heck was that?"
You were in the zone.
It was fantastic. So it was a very difficult experience from beginning to end. Yeah. Sleepless nights, being stressed. You know, it mattered a lot to me, and the fact that it worked out. Even if it hadn't worked out, I know that it would have been valuable for me. But the fact that it worked out was great. And then And then, people saw me and they thought what I did was great. So it helped me with work. It helped me with my life. It's one of the reasons I live here. So.
Well, that's it. And that's something we spoke about before the interview was, it's terrifying public speaking, but when you know your subject and you really get in the zone, then it just flows. It's almost you just lose track of what you're doing.
It does, but you have to practice.
Definitely.
Right? You have to practice getting in the zone before you can actually do it when the pressure's on.
Right.
And so that's where I spend a lot of my time, I encourage people to spend a lot of their time just on a regular basis talking about what you care about, talking about what you're passionate in, because you don't want the first time you're saying something to be when you're in front of people, because then you've got to be really good at improv, you've got to be really good at performing on the fly, which I've taught myself to be, but it's not the ideal way. So people say, get into the flow, get into the zone, but practice getting into the zone, right? Practice that, talk about it. I look into the mirror and I practice my gestures and all that stuff. Then it's so much easier for me to get into that flow state because I've gone into that flow state on my own.
But that's great advice, just even practicing with a friend, like in a conversational way. I mean, that's the more you repeat, the more it becomes ingrained. That's a great advice.
And if you want something that's really going to push you over the edge, put a camera up and talk to the camera and then watch it afterwards. Oh, if you can get past that self-hatred, then it's really cool. It's a powerful. My first foray onto YouTube, nobody knows this really, but it was singing.
Oh, cool.
I actually have old, terrible videos. Maybe I'll send you one. But of me singing online, and I'm dying inside how difficult it is. But had I not done that, 20 years ago, not 20 years ago, whenever YouTube came out, all the practice that I had since then, now my Backroom Nightly show, it's way more fun because I did the Appreciationist, I did music videos, but you get to like work out all of those inner demons and all those negative thought spirals that you might get into, and it's rewarding.
Well, that's the only way you could do it. I mean, even with this podcast, I'm not an interviewer or a journalist by any means, but it's just you do one, you do another. I think we're up to number 13 now or something. So it's just a process. And for me too, for you too, when I started, all I did was I would put a camera on my hands and be creating the item. I never showed my face or anything. And it was funny. It was actually when I was in LA one year and we were in line to go see Jimmy Kimmel. Just waiting in line, we had to wait for tickets, and there was a guy behind me in line who was a film producer, like a film director, and we got to chatting, and I told him about my channel, this and that, and so he later looked at the channel and gave me feedback, and he's like, Heather, you have to get on camera and talk to people, because otherwise, people aren't going to get to know you. And so, then I dove into it, and then I did it, and I realized, after you do it a couple of times, it becomes much easier. But I think people don't realize the importance of that human contact, and like with social media, not just a photo anymore. People want to see you in action.
Absolutely right.
Talking,
And it's true even with major artists. Like major artists are learning now, if they're not personable, if they're not connecting with their fans on Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube, you could be a famous person. When I was a kid, you could be a famous person and you're aloof. You're far away. Nobody really knows what's going on with your life. But now what's valuable is that personal connection. And if fans don't feel they have a connection to the artist, then they're not interested, because they have so much more content to consume now.
Oh my God,
access to everything. And what sets it apart is your personality.
Exactly.
That's what makes it different. What's unique about you is what's going to stand out in these videos. And you might think, oh, but I'm not good at that or not good at that. That's what makes it special. I'm not good at a lot of things, but the way I mess up, I do on Backroom Nightly, I try to do impressions. I tried Denzel Washington last night. It was terrible. It was terrible. I'm not going to do it now. I'm not going to do it now. But part of my shtick is that I do terrible impressions. Like, who cares, right? So, the things that we used to worry about before in the past needed to be worried about because you had to put forth this polished look.
That's right.
But now unpolished, imperfect is actually the new perfect. People want to see the warts and all. So
well, no, they need to know that you're human. And I know often when I do my live streams for jewelry, there was one time, Mimi still laughs about it, I dropped something on the ground that was an integral part of my project. And I spent literally 5 minutes crawling on the ground off camera, and I was like, you guys just talk while I'm looking for this thing. And it was like 5 minutes later, I popped back, and it was live, so I couldn't do anything about it. But people know now, you know, and then there's less pressure on them if they want to comment or interact or whatever. They don't feel like they have to be perfect.
That's right. When you allow yourself to be imperfect, when you allow yourself to show your flaws, then you give other people the freedom to be themselves.
Exactly.
And honestly, we need more of that in this world. You know?
Oh, definitely.
What stops people from starting often is this desire to be this polished version.
Yeah.
And the more of us who are just going to be unpolished and going forward, then I think the more creative people we're going to inspire to get engaged.
Absolutely, yeah. It's so funny because I went to the Buffer Festival in Toronto last weekend. So it's a YouTube festival, and so they invite YouTubers to come and screen their new films and what have you.
It's called Buffer?
Buffer? The Buffer Festival.
The worst part of YouTube?
Yeah, I know.
I like it.
It's a great festival. And so there was these two guys in the comedy screening. I actually had submitted a film, but it didn't get accepted. It was a little too much. But so there were these two guys that did this short film for the comedy screening. And basically all they did was tape bags of potato chips on themselves and to go to like one of their friends' parties and act really silly and stuff. And I'm like, but they're funny, right? They did a film last year about crayons that was hilarious too. Mm-hmm. And I thought, these guys are really funny, but I'd never heard of them before. And so after, you could go to the red carpet and get selfies. So I got a selfie with these guys, and then I just posted it on Instagram in my story, and people are like, oh my God, you met them, they're so famous and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't know. So I went to their channel. He's got like tons of subscribers, and I had no idea, but they're doing videos that aren't polished. They're just silly. They're having fun, but they're, you know, people can relate, and they just even though technically they're not great videos, they're not scripted, they're not, but it's fun, you know.
Those are my favorite types of things. Like if I watch something that's polished and produced, it's in one category in my mind,
exactly.
You know. But what I really enjoy watching is just real people online. It's really a lot of fun. So go be a real person, right? Go there and engage, and you're like, oh, little old me. What does it matter? Look, first of all, at first nobody's going to pay attention to you. So who cares? Okay, you're gonna have zero. You're gonna be sweating in front of 0 viewers. It's not a big deal, and then you get better at it. You know, that's the fun part. I am addicted to learning. I'm addicted to improving. And I learned that when I was a kid. I got my first computer at 12 years old.
Wow.
My mother got this government grant, and it provided computers for low-income housing. And we get this computer, and you get it, and it's like, oh, now it's a bunch of problems you have to solve.
Yeah.
Now it's viruses and blue screens of death and all. It's like getting a puppy. You're like, oh, a puppy. Wait, a puppy. This is complicated. But then you start learning how to solve problems. Technology taught me how to. I encourage people to play video games. That's really good at learning to solve problems, at breaking through things, but also learning something technical, learning these technological tools. It teaches you how to be a problem solver, how to persevere, how to go beyond your limits. It's a fun exercise. It's a really fun thing to do. It's worthwhile.
Yeah, no, I definitely have always considered myself to be a lifelong learner, and I think there's just so much out there, and we evolve so quickly when we're discovering new things.
That's the way to do it, right? That is the way to do it. I was never a very good student. I mean, I could have been, but I didn't care. Because learning from a book and in that environment, it's kind of unnatural. People learn far better when they're engaged in the project,
That's
right? So one of the things I want to start pitching is that we should give money, at least some lump sum of money, maybe it's $500, maybe it's $1,000 to students to go and experiment, go and try to build something. Then you're gonna, the math that you learn, the information that you're looking for is gonna become relevant because now you have something to create. It becomes far more meaningful. And I always wonder, I see kids sitting in classrooms and I go, also give them an experience, also give them something to go out there and do. And in that creative process, you learn those things that are required. You know, you learn finance, you learn.
Exactly, and that's why so many people are, you know, wanting to become YouTubers and what have you, because they're learning it on their own. You know, they're getting on YouTube, they're creating their videos, they're getting the attention of sponsors, they're creating their careers.
That's right.
And you know, it's school is great, but there's also other alternatives, either parallel or alternatives to as well.
Absolutely. And it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what you think your ability is or how old you are. Go out there and engage in a creative thing. And there's all kinds of, look, there are people making a living with their butts on Instagram, all right? Okay, I don't know about you, but I sit at home and I get so jealous of these people. Like, if she can make a living with her butt, well, I can find a way to make a living too. Let me see, what do I got? What do I got? Does my butt look good? Okay, let me try something else.
You don't even need to have a good butt, because one of the videos at Buffer was about this girl was giving her short. It was a short video. She's a YouTuber, and so she was telling about she went to an influencer event. And all the girls at the influencer event were taking their photos and using this app. I don't know if it's Facetune or another app to actually change the structure of the body. So these sexy girls that you see on Instagram with skinny waists and big butts, it's Photoshop.
Don't tell me. I don't want to hear that.
So
it's real.
You can maybe make a business showing your butt on Instagram.
You know what? I'm almost certainly going to do that now, because that's pretty cool. That would be pretty funny. I want to be the dude there going, buy these yoga pants. Lululemon, baby.
Oh, it's too
It's going to be fantastic. Yeah, man. Part of what motivates me to get out there is jealousy. I'll tell you that right now. Okay, envy and jealousy. You look at other people, you go, wait a second. I could do that. That doesn't seem that hard. Stand-up comedy is like that. You're sitting in the audience, you go, I can be funnier than this guy. And there's some comedians you look at, you're like, I can definitely be funnier than them. Go and try. Go and try. And it doesn't matter how it is, but go and try. So whatever feeling gets you there. Maybe you're motivated by good, positive things. Okay, I'm Bad Guru. I'm motivated by baser instincts. Defeating my brother.
Yes.
And now I want to be a butt model.
Oh,
you've inspired me.
I just gave you an idea. Watch him get famous. You owe me.
It's gonna happen. Oh, definitely. All my pictures are gonna have like Heather Boyd right down there. Credit Heather Boyd.
Perfect. And something I didn't want to forget to mention, Peter, when we were at the event the other week, you told us a story about your mom having inspired you. I really would like you to tell us that story.
Okay, so one day I think to myself, I should talk to my mother more and ask her more about her life. I don't want to be one of these people like later on in life I forgot to like have moments with my mother. So I asked her. I said, Mom, tell me something interesting about your life, something that you did. And she was like, oh no, never did anything interesting. I go, no, Mom, come on, tell me. Sometimes you got to really get people going, give them really a good excuse. Like I do want to hear even the most boring thing you could tell me. And she's like, and then after a few minutes she said, oh yeah, there was something. My mother used to give me. I have the way I said the story last time was a little off. She didn't get a penny. She got 5 cents.
Okay, cool.
Her mother gave her 5 cents for lunch.
Right.
5 cents for lunch.
Yeah,
I know. It's the world we live in now.
Yeah.
And so she would, instead of going to buy her lunch, she would go to the market and she'd buy fruit, and then she'd cut up the fruit and sell the fruit outside of her house on her doorstep, and then she'd make 10 cents, and then she'd give the 5 back to her mother, and then she would have this 5.
Wow.
And that's entrepreneurial.
Wow,
that's her using what do I have, and how can I use this to my advantage? The part that I didn't say the other day, because I only learned it recently.
Okay.
My grandmother, her mother, actually then started a business doing exactly that.
Oh my God.
She started her own business selling fruit, cutting up fruit, selling things outside of her door and making a living. And
amazing.
they're very, very poor, and being able to double, triple your income, it was fantastic. So my mother, my young girl inspired her mother to create this business just by being entrepreneurial. And you think to yourself, oh, there's nothing special about me.
Yeah.
What is it that you've got? Look around at your life, see what you have of value around you. My value is that I talk a lot. Maybe you've noticed this. I am her.
That's what we're here for.
I remember I was telling my mom one time, I was doing motivational speaking, had just started, and she's like, Peter, why are you doing this? Happiness, what does it matter? Wake up, pay your bills, happiness. I go, Mom, I think if I can make a living talking, then I'll be good. And she was like, yeah, do that. Go ahead, do that. Because she realized how much I talk. You might not realize what you have of value. I just have my words. I have that I'm interested. Maybe you have time. Maybe you have energy. Maybe you have something. Heather Boyd does wires. Okay, wires. I remember when I first heard this, I was like, what? what? How can you make a living doing that? You can make a living doing that. You know, we're living in such the internet and technology is connecting us to so many people, and you used to need 1 million people in order to make a living off of something because everybody was competing for the same market, right? The people who were watching the TV, the people who had disposable income. But now the market is so big. Jack Ma, who's this entrepreneur, he created Alibaba in China.
Right, of course.
He talks about how very soon, if not already, you're gonna sell cookies to someone in Africa, and you'll sell your baked goods to somebody in China. Like the world is becoming smaller, and all you really need to do is find 1,000 people who are in your market who are interested in what you have to do. Can you find 1,000 people who are interested in what you have to offer? That's the question.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, these days, for sure, with the internet, absolutely. And you were also talking on your YouTube channel, you're going to start a series of doing reviews of great ideas.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that.
So my passion right now, the thing that I care about the most is Happy for a Change. And the mission for Happy for a Change is to create an audience of people, the largest audience of people who are willing to give their attention to great ideas. When we give our attention to great ideas, we make it far more likely for them to take root, to survive, and to thrive. And when we experience the benefit of having these great ideas. The tools, the smartphone in your pocket, the computer that you use, the services online, all these things empower you, they empower the individual. So I want to shine the light on great ideas. Now, I talked about this in my TEDx talk, but how did I put it? I had to put it diplomatically because they didn't like it otherwise. So I say, I don't know if McDonald's makes the best burger. But what I do know is that they spend about $1 billion every year on advertising because they know if they get your attention, they're far more likely to achieve success. But there are people creating wonderful things out there, doing wonderful things, and they don't have $1 billion to get your attention. They don't have $1 million. They might not be able to get your attention. So I want there to be an audience online, a place online where there's 1,000, 1 million, 10 million people who are like, hey, we're waiting. If you have a great idea, put it in front of us. We're going to interact with it. When you like something, when you share something, when you comment, you actually give it your attention, you make it more likely that it achieves success. You think, I'm just watching this video. No, you're basically giving them money. You're basically giving them what they need in order to survive. So what I want to do, what I'm going to create on my channel is I'm going to shine the light on products, services, tools that you can use that would make you more efficient and more effective. To me, a great idea is something that makes you more efficient, more effective, more capable of pursuing that which you consider valuable, that which you consider to be your purpose. So I want to do videos where, I went to an eco-fair recently and they showed us this reusable paper towels. And you could wash them in the washing machine. And you think, that's great. That's a great solution to not use so I want to do a video where I use those paper towels. I want to do a video where I use the product and services that might make your life better. And I think it'll shine the light on these things and make it more likely that our world is a better place.
Oh, well, I'm very excited to see that series. That's fantastic.
Well, you gave me the good foods box. And so I did a video. That'll probably be the next one I upload. Cool. Because there are a lot of people who don't cook, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And the good foods box isn't exactly cheap. It's not so cheap like going to the grocery store, but it is better than buying fast food or something like that. It comes up to about $5-10 a meal. And I remember talking to someone who doesn't cook, and I thought if you could just get a box of food to your house, it's pre-packaged, individual, all the spices are there, you have the recipe, you make that. Now it's less of a barrier than go to the grocery store with a recipe, get all the ingredients. So I did a video about that, just showing, open up the box, see what that looks like, and demystify it a little bit, and you go, oh, there are opportunities all around me for me to make my life better.
Well, and that, for me, actually doing the good food was an opportunity to learn and to expand my horizons in the kitchen. Like I rarely get it now, but at the beginning I was getting them quite a few times, and I collected a stack of recipes, and it made cooking to me more accessible because I didn't like to cook before. And even if you don't stick with the idea, at least you've learned it, and then you can move on to the next idea, which is great too.
Absolutely.
So Peter, tell us where we could find you online and a little bit about if you have any upcoming events.
So you can find me at facebook.com/Happy for a Change. You definitely want to subscribe to me on YouTube, so Happy for a Change. Look, Happy for a Change everywhere. Instagram, Twitter, you can find me there.
TikTok soon.
TikTok soon, yes. Oh my goodness, I gotta use this new platform. It sounds, you're in this world and you start hearing whispers of other things. You're like, I gotta get on board with that. I gotta get started.
13 seconds, Peter. It's nothing.
I can't do 13 seconds though. I don't know how to do that. I need more like 13 minutes. But
learn.
Exactly. Constraints. But yeah, you can find me Happy for a Change, and then happyforachange.com. That's the website where I post some of my things there. I have other things, but that's really join the Happy for a Change audience. It's facebook.com/happy for a change. It doesn't cost anything except a little bit of your soul to join. So just a tiny bit of your soul. But do you value that? Are you even using your soul? I'm not sure. But join, and I want to create the largest audience. That's my mission. Everything that I do is to draw attention to the Happy for a Change audience. I want to create the largest audience possible so that we have a great impact on the world. So Happy for a Change, yeah.
Perfect. And you've already built a beautiful community in Montreal, and I could just see it growing bigger and bigger. And to me, community is something that is key. And that's something I've seen in you from the beginning, with you and Samantha as well, with what she does. That's what it's all about, the key to success, I think.
Absolutely. And I was watching your videos and I thought, look, what advice would I give to folks, about for starting out? And I tell people to seek out failure. Like, people, I want to do something, but it might not work. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Like, do that. Like, make it so it doesn't work out. Manage your expectations. If it doesn't work out, you go, I didn't expect it to work out. And the word I like to use is experimentation, right?
Okay, yes.
Experimentation is powerful because scientists, when they experiment, they have a hypothesis, and then they experiment, but they're not tied to the result. Whatever result they get, they're happy with it because they can build upon that. So treat your endeavors like experiments, not businesses that need to succeed, but experiments that whether they succeed or fail, you'll learn from it. So seek out failure. Like, people are afraid to fail. I say, go out and find reasons to fail. Go out and do those things. I remember I did a dance class when I was a kid, just very quickly. I did a dance class. I wanted to do choreography. There was about 20, 30 people in the class. Everybody did it great. I was the one loser in the background, like really not coordinating, not getting it. The teacher would be like, after a while, does everybody get it? And everybody knew she was just talking about me because everyone could see in the mirror, Peter was just like not getting it, But it was fun to experience the embarrassment, to experience failure, and to realize, hey, I'm still alive. I'm still here. It turns out I didn't self-destruct. So go out there and fail. Find failure. Seek out failure.
But geez, Peter, I have goosebumps when you said about the scientific experiment. The last experience I had with science was in grade 8, in science class. But I remember that. It was like a system. You had your hypothesis, your I guess your materials, and then the method, and then diagrams. Oh my God, like creating this whole scientific system for success, like succeeding in a challenge or in your goal, like achieving goals via scientific, experimentation.
Absolutely, and
I'm gonna try it.
Look, it's very similar to being creative, like creative endeavors. The difference I find is that the outcome with experiments doesn't matter. Whatever it is fine. That's right. As opposed to, I have to create something that's good, and that it frees you up to just go out there and experiment and have experiences.
And then the whole idea of failure isn't even part of the picture.
Doesn't exist.
All. Like failure does not exist.
It's just iteration.
Oh my God, that's amazing! I love it. So Peter, thanks so much for hopping on. And the last time we were here, I picked up on your tagline was your attention matters, and I thought it was really cool because we both have our cheesy taglines, and I love it.
I love cheese. Okay, I don't know, cheese is great, but your stories matter, right?
Your story matters.
Your story matters,
and your attention matters.
I think it's fantastic.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me on this. This is fantastic. Oh my goodness, a lot of fun.
Thanks so much for tuning in to Stories of Starting. If you would like to inspire others with your story, big or small, be sure to reach out via storiesofstarting.com. Until next time, always remember, your story matters.